What's up, guys? My name is Aaron Bazz, fitness manager for Fit Athletic in beautiful Mission Beach, and this is your Workout Wednesday. So for this week's Workout Wednesday, we're going to be doing a posterior chain flow workout. What that is a total body workout. We're going to start at the top of the posterior chain, which is up here by the neck, and we're going to end down by the bottom of the feet and the calves. But we're going to be emphasizing T-spine and hip mobility, again, on the back side of the body, and also taking the body through a muscular endurance workout, emphasizing most of the musculature from the back side of the body as well. So what we're going to be doing is 2 rounds, 10 reps of every single exercise. The only equipment that you're going to need is a mat and some sliders. If you don't have any sliders, you can use paper plates on carpet. You can use socks and sweatpants on tile or hardwood floor. But that's all you're going to need. Other than that, just follow along with me throughout the workout. And when we get done with this workout, remember to like and subscribe to Fit Athletic and hit the little bell to turn on your post notifications. Enjoy your workout. So this first exercise, I want you to flip over like this. Just get on your butt. We're going to be doing what's called open books. Open books are a really good rotational exercise or mobility exercise for the T-spine, where we're keeping our lower body in a fixed position. So for this exercise, what you're going to want to do is you're going to flip over here like this on your left side. Let's start on the left side. Now, what's really important is that you get this right leg all the way over and you bring this knee all the way up. If you have a foam roller, you can set it down here underneath your leg. If not, you just really got to be conscious of keeping this leg down. So once you've got yourself in this start position here, this bottom leg is straight out. This top leg here is in a 90-degree position. Let's arm straight out as well. So you kind of have a parallel sort of lines between the top of your thigh and your fingertips. And then let's go ahead and roll these fingertips all the way over, like I said, as like a book. So for this open book exercise, the goal here is to rotate all the way around, take your fingertips all the way back here to the turf, and try not to allow this foot to pick up, this knee to pick up here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open all the way up and all the way open here, keeping your gaze in line with your fingertips, and let's get 10 reps on each side. Push this knee down. And as you're rotating, you should feel the mid-back through the spine. It's going to be pretty difficult here through this first 10 reps. And you should loosen up, though, by the time we get to the end. I think that's number 10. As we flip over, I will say I'm not the best counter, so we might be guessing at some of these, but either way will get you loose. So flip over on this side and take that right arm all the way out. We're going to create this 90-degree angle at the back of our leg. Make sure the top of our leg and our arms are parallel. Now we're going to create this book. Again, remember to try to keep this knee pushed down as you open up and rotate. Rotate all the way open. Follow with your gaze. Feels like I'm a little tighter on this side, so maybe you'll experience some reduced range of motion, which is perfectly fine. Just try to stretch it a little bit more every single time you make a rep, and hopefully by the time you get to 10, it's feeling a little bit more loose. Recheck in with your form. Make sure that that bottom leg is pointed straight out. Make sure that that knee is pressed or push down to the floor as much as you can as you rotate open. And 10. All right. Now this next exercise is going to be more of a muscular endurance exercise using body weight. Like I said, we're going to start at the neck. We're going to roll all the way down toward the bottom of the heels here. So this exercise is called a back widow. It's for your traps, your rhomboids, your rear delts. So we're really emphasizing the top of the posterior chain here at the upper back. So to do this exercise, bend your knees. Put your heels or your soles of your shoes flat into the floor just like this, and go ahead and lay all the way back. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your elbows into a 45-degree angle and drive them down into the turf or into the floor here, and have your arms straight up at this angle. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to leverage the position with our elbows by pressing into the floor and contracting the posterior delts, the traps and the rhomboids, which are those upper back muscles or in your rotator cuff. So we're gonna press through the floor, and what we're trying to do is really draw those rotator cuff, shoulder blades in toward the spine and get a nice big squeeze in there. So press for number 3. Really sit there and squeeze. Try and emphasize the negative, as that's gonna have on building muscle with body weight exercises. Good, you feel a little shake on the way down. Keeping that core tight throughout. 6. 7, you should feel your chest and your upper back lifting up off of the turf from about here up. Good. Got 2 more. And last one. And 10, good, all right. So from here, shake it out. Now we're gonna flip over and we're gonna come face down into the turf here. This is called a supine scorpion. So we're also gonna be doing T-spine mobility here, rotation, although we're gonna have a different part of our body fixed. We're gonna fix the upper body. The upper body's not gonna be moving, the lower body's gonna be twisting, which is the opposite of what we did with the open book, where we fix the lower body and we rotate with the upper body. So with a supine scorpion, you're gonna go face down, just like this, okay? You're gonna be in somewhat of a push-up position, okay? I want you to have both of your hands just underneath your shoulders, just like this, chin down to the chest. Now let's start with the right side, okay? Like a scorpion, if you can picture this being the tail of the scorpion, I want you to press through the floor, and I want you to take that toe up and over, and try to draw a big circle all the way out to the outside of your body here, rotating at the spine. Little pause, come back, now go the other way. 2. Now we're gonna alternate reps all the way to 20. 3. 4. You should feel the rotation in the spine. You should also feel some stretching in the front and the back of the hip and the glute. Now, it's important with mobility exercises to remember that this isn't for speed. We're not trying to crank these reps out. We're trying to go nice, slow, controlled. It's about good technique. It's about making the movement look pretty, okay? Really take your time and focus on moving through a complete range of motion, really trying to move the body in big dynamic movements like you see, right? Shouldn't be just going like this, flopping all over the place. I want to see big, round reps. We got 3 more. Last one. All right, shake it out. So back down to that position here. Now, this next exercise here is gonna be for the traps and the low back, okay? The low back is gonna act as a stabilizer here. The traps, the upper traps, the mid traps, the low traps are gonna really act as a mover. So what we're gonna do is called a reverse snow angel. So I want you to be spread out here like this on the floor. First step is we're gonna pick our toes up off of the floor by squeezing our glutes and our low back. You're gonna pick your hands up off the turf here, and just as you would think a snow angel, you're simply gonna take your hands back in toward your outer part of your leg here, and you're gonna go back and forth and keep doing this for 20 reps, right? As you're moving circles in front of your head, try to keep those palms as high off the ground as you can, keeping your glutes tight through your low back, and then point those toes behind you, keeping their ankles up off the floor as well. 10. 14. Make sure we're breathing out as you bring your arms down and pulling your chest up. Breathe in as you reach up overhead. Two more. Good, and rest. All right, now pop up here. We're gonna go into our next stretch, which is meant for the posterior capsule or the back side of the shoulder, okay? This is called the sleeper stretch. Now it's called the sleeper stretch because of two reasons. A lot of people sleep with their arm up under their pillow, like I do. So it causes all kinds of problems in your neck and your shoulders, and that sort of thing. But also, it's called a sleeper stretch because of the actual position in which you do the exercise. So if you lay on your side here and you pretend like you're in bed sleeping with your arm under your pillow, like this looks familiar, okay? From here, what I want you to do is bring this arm up just like this, more or less a 90-degree angle between your bicep and your forearm. Then use your empty hand here to grab onto the wrist, okay? Make sure you drive this elbow down into the turf and then grab this arm by the wrist. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna press your forearm toward the floor. You're not gonna do it too hard. You're not trying to hurt yourself, okay? The structures up here in the shoulder are sort of delicate. So it's important that you're not forcing anything. You're just trying to gain a little bit more range of motion here and try to loosen up that joint, okay? So drive the elbow, pull the wrist, and let it go and move it with your own body weight back up to start, and then press down. There you go. Now, make sure that this arm is fully supported out here. I just kind of caught myself. You won't feel as much effect unless your arm is straight out here. Also make sure that everything else is in line, keeping your core tight. I'm pressing here. You should feel a stretch all through the back side of your shoulder right here. And 10, good. Now we'll flip over and hit the other side. Okay, remember, take that arm straight out. Lying on your side. Out this way, now bring this arm up. Now you're gonna take your right hand, grab your left wrist, readjust the shoulder. Now pull. So you should feel a nice big stretch all through here. Posterior capsule, which is the back side of your shoulder here. Go 10 reps. Good. 2 more. Good, that's 10. Good, now shake them out here behind the shoulders. Okay, now, next exercise here is we're gonna do a makeshift sliding lat pull down, okay? So, of course, we don't have a lat pull down where we're pulling from here. I put this together because we also don't have a pull-up bar. Maybe some people don't have a pull-up bar at home, so it's important to pull in the vertical plane of motion here. But, you know, in doing so, we need to sort of create some resistance. So a great way to do that is by using sliders. Again, if you don't have sliders at home, you can use paper plates on carpet. You could also use socks and sweatpants on tile floor or wood floor. So whatever you have is fine. Also, if you can't do this with strict body weight, you can put your hands up in a doorway and use the doorway for a little bit of leverage. But what I want you to do here, if you have sliders or paper plates, place them under your knees just like this, and then cross your feet. Okay? Now from here, we're gonna take our hands down into the turf, okay? We're gonna grip the turf with our fingertips, just like this, and we're gonna kind of rotate outward to engage our rotator cuff to kind of help stabilize the movement, okay? Now from here, I want you to get into a fully extended position, like if you're at the bottom of a pull-up or a lat pull-down. And from here, this a little bit, it's not really slick here on the floor, so we'll do the best we can, but we're gonna pull in this direction as if we're doing a lat pull-down. Looks like we're gonna have to do without these guys. So go from here and pull, okay? I'm just gonna shift my hips to show you the movement, but you should be sliding with the gliders or the plates or on the wood floor. And when you get to this position right here, this would sort of mimic the top of the pull-up or the bottom of the movement if you were doing a lat pull-down. So sliding back here, getting full extension here at the top, then pulling yourself, contracting the lats, right? Which are these big muscles that run from the top of the back all the way down to the bottom of the back. So knock out a few more. I'm kind of stuck, unfortunately, with these sliders. They're not gliding on the turf, but let's get 3 more reps. 7, 8, make sure you keep that core tight. Don't let your hips sag down to the floor. Pull, big squeeze in the lats. 9 and 10. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start to segue into the lower body a little bit, right? We're sticking with the posterior chain, which is everything from the neck down to the bottom of the ankles. But as we go through the workout, we're kind of working down the posterior chain. So now we're gonna get more into the hips and the legs and some of those supporting structures. So from here, what we're gonna do is a stretch for your adductors and your groin, okay? It's called a quadruped rollback. Kind of a fancy word, but I don't really know anything else to call it. So what you're gonna do is let's start here on the left knee, and then from the left knee, let's take the right foot all the way out, so you're kind of creating like this space between the knee and the side of the inside of the foot here, okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to rock all the way back here, sitting on top of your ankle, which should create some mobility, some range of motion through the inner thigh, growing adductor area right through here. And then you're gonna sit up and kind of press into hip extension and really feel the stretch here on that inner thigh. So let's move for 10 reps. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Keeping that chest tall. 8, 9, last one. And 10, good, carefully come out of this one. Drop that knee down, right knee to the floor. Take that left leg out. And let's go, 10 more reps, ready? Dropping all the way back to the ankle here, getting some nice bend in the knee. And then side of the foot dug into the floor. And as you sit up, you're gonna feel a stretch coming through that adductor. And as you loosen up, you should even be able to get a stretch on the way back. So it's all about moving the top of the femur, which is this bone right here, through that hip socket. That's what mobility is, guys. It's taking the joint through a complete range of motion. Versus flexibility is a little bit different, where we're actually stretching the muscle or some of the structures holding the muscle down. Mobility refers to joint movement. So think about that when you're doing these exercises. Quality joint movement, complete range of motion. 2 more. And 10, good. All right, from here, I wanna have you come back down to your chest, okay? We're gonna be doing a Superman exercise with external rotation, okay? This is really good for the low back, for the glutes, and because of the rotation, we're gonna be incorporating some rotator cuff here as well, okay? So, Superman exercise, right? Take your feet up off the floor, pointing them backwards, and then I'm gonna have you lift up your chest off of the floor simultaneously with your feet. But I wanna add a little bit of a rotation here to where you're taking your rotator cuff or the back of your shoulders and you're rolling them in toward the spine, sort of rotating from the back of your hands on the floor to palms down, okay? As you get to this position right here, I want you to squeeze everything in your back all the way from your neck down to your tailbone, okay? So let's get 10 reps. Four, 5, 6, 9. Last one. And 10. Good. Go ahead and place your hands down. Sit up. And let's go directly into a hip flexor stretch, right? So the hip flexors are the muscles that move your body in this direction, okay? That flex your hips. They're located somewhere between here, okay? So for this one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be stretching the psoas muscle, okay? And part of the rectus femoris, which is actually a quad muscle, but also considered a hip flexor because it passes the hip joint, okay? So with this particular stretch, it's really important that for the leg with the knee down to the floor, you keep your glute really tight, okay? That glute's gotta stay really tight. And then what I'm gonna have you do is sort of pulse forward, right? Kind of rolling forward, taking this front knee out over the toe without letting that glute go, okay? And keeping the chest really tall so that you can create a stretch on this left side here between, say, the kneecap, which is a little bit low, but say the kneecap and the bottom of the rib for a point of reference. So 10 reps, rocking forward, keeping this left glute tight, keeping that chest really tall, feeling that stretch located in here. Remember your breathing. 8, 9, last one, and 10. Good. Go ahead and drop that knee down. Switch legs. Left foot out. Right glute tight. And press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2 more. And last one here, and 10, good. After you come out of that stretch, go ahead and take a step up. Next thing here is we're gonna be doing some good mornings. Good mornings is a traditional exercise that you can find a lot of times in the gym. You can do it weighted, you can do it as body weight, but here we're gonna really be doing it as a functional movement exercise to make sure that we're hinging in the correct position, but also we're gonna get our spinal erectors some work, mobility on the way down, and also the glutes and hamstrings are what are gonna be driving the movement. So good mornings can be done with bands, they can be done with dumbbells, but we're gonna do in body weight here today, focusing on really good technique and very slow controlled movement, okay? So with a good morning, okay, your hands, put them on the back side of your hips. I like to do that just kind of like, so I keep my shoulder blades back as a method of proper technique, okay? And from here, we're sort of dropping our chest down to the floor while keeping our chest lifted at the same time. So that might sound confusing, but you're able to flex and extend here at the mid-back or the T-spine, all right? The thoracic spine. I want you to make sure that you keep your chest pulled up on the way down, okay? Now the way you're gonna go down is by hinging your hips, okay? You're not really bending the knees, just sort of a soft load in the knee. You're gonna be pushing your hips backward to create a stretch here in the hamstrings and the glutes, okay? And in terms of range of motion, everybody's gonna be a little bit different. If you're very flexible, you might be able to get all the way down to the floor or really close to getting your chest to parallel. If you're not so flexible like me, maybe it looks a little different where I'm only getting about halfway down. That's fine. The range of motion is really specific to you and how flexible you are, okay? So don't worry about it. Just as a mobility exercise, the goal is to be able to move through that range of motion more efficiently over time. So maybe you're not so good at it right now. I promise you, if you continue to practice quality movement, you're gonna get this. So, all right, so hands here on the hips, keep that chest lifted, keep the shoulder blades back, and push those hips back, dropping that chest to the floor. That's about all I got right here, so I feel a nice stretch in my hamstrings. Now pull the belly button forward, driving with the glutes and the hamstrings. And repeat, keeping that chest lifted, pushing those hips back. Now pulling the hip forward, contracting the glutes at the top. Okay, make sure to pull that belly button into the spine so that the abs are engaged throughout the entire movement. And let's knock out 10 reps here. I believe this is 5. 2 more. 9. 10. All right, guys, back down to the floor. Sticking with the hips, okay? This next exercise is called the 90-90, okay? 90-90 is really good for internal, external rotation of the hips, okay? So let's start on this left leg. Now, the reason this is called the 90-90 is because of the position of your legs. If you see, I'm making a 90-degree angle here between the inside of my hamstring and the back of my calf. And then on this back leg, you can see that I have that same position there, okay? Now, for some of you guys, this is already gonna be an exercise just getting into this position, okay? You're gonna find that you're really tight through your hips, through here, or on the back side of your hips. Again, that's fine. This is mobility, guys. So the idea is to start doing it and just get better. All right, so if you notice, I have my hand here that's sort of propping myself up. That's the first step here. So what I want you to do is go ahead and turn this hand around so that your fingertips are pretty much pointing behind you. And that's gonna help you to leverage off of the floor and keep your chest taller. Immediately, when you push your weight through your wrist here and you pull your chest up tall, you're gonna feel a little bit of tightness or a little bit of lack of mobility through this front hip. Again, that's okay. So what we're gonna do here is 10 reps on each side, keeping that chest lifted just like the good morning, but we're gonna press our chest forward as far as we can until we feel a nice stretch in the glute on the back side right here, okay? Once we feel that stretch, it's our goal to maintain the tension in that particular part of the hip. And we're gonna do that by pressing this foot and this front knee through the floor really, really hard. So again, hinge yourself forward until you feel that stretch. And then when you feel that stretch, really press this and your foot and your knee into the floor as you push yourself up tall here, okay? Remember, driving through this wrist right here so that we can keep the chest tall, but go ahead and forward. Now pressing through here, here, and here to pull yourself back and just really create a lot of tension here through that hip joint. Okay? Now pressing through the floor. Tall chest. Now pressing through the floor. All these front points of contact here. And I'm trying to stretch a little bit deeper every single time. But see, notice I'm not dropping my chest, keeping it lifted. If you drop your chest, you're gonna feel you lose the stretch in the hip. Okay, let's go, 2 more. You know, driving that knee, driving that ankle, coming tall. Last one. And good, now switch. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can switch the position, or you can just roll like that to the other side, and boom, magic, you're already in the position. So we're already set up. We got 90 here, we got 90 here, okay? Now, right hand down here into the floor, bringing that chest really tall. Now, hinging forward, right? Getting a stretch in the right side, back side of the right side, over here, okay? Now, pressing this right heel, right knee through the floor, sitting tall. And now hinging, creating that stretch, really trying to push that range of motion as far as you can. As soon as you feel that stretch, pressing down through the heel and the knee and pulling the chest up tall. Trying not to let yourself fall over this way. Use that right hand to keep yourself propped up. Hinging forward, pressing through the floor. Hinging forward, pressing through the floor, good. Hinging forward, pressing. 2 more. Last one. And good. Here, get out of that stretch. All right, now continuing to build up the musculature. Let's go back into that tabletop position on all 4s here. Now we're gonna be targeting the glute med, right? The glute med is like a little mini butt that sits right here on the top of your hips. It's what gives you a wider look. It's what does external rotation out this way, moving your legs out to the side of your body. Okay, that's really important when you squat. It's really important for stability in the hips, really important for a lot of things. So we're gonna train that doing a fire hydrant exercise. Of course, we're gonna do the fire hydrants with body weight only, but you can attach a band over the top of your knees or below your knees, really whatever feels comfortable for you. You can kind of wedge a dumbbell or a weight behind your knee like this. Various ways to do it. Maybe you can do it with a cable, but today we're gonna do it body weight. So what we're gonna do is, we want you to start here in this tabletop position, okay? And just like the exercise suggests, fire hydrants, pretend you are a male dog and you come up on a fire hydrant, and what do? You lift your leg, okay? Now if you ever watch a dog lift its leg, they don't really lift their leg with a straight leg like this. They have a nice little bend in their knee. So I want you to sort of replicate that. So all fours here, you want your knees to be stacked right underneath your hips. You want your wrists to be stacked right underneath your shoulders. Retract your shoulder blades, contract your core, and then really try to use that outer part of the hip here to lift your leg up. A little bit of a pause on the top here, and then slowly control it back down to the turf. I'm gonna repeat this for 12 reps on each side. Now it's also important to not overextend here, right? So you're gonna take your leg out, but you don't need to go like this and roll into your left side, right? You don't need to do it anything excessive like that. Literally want you to try to keep your chest and your belly button pointed at the turf and externally rotate, take that leg outside, but not at the expense of breaking the posture here. Six, 7, 8, 10, good. All right, shake it out. Now we're gonna move to the left side here. Okay, so same thing. Set up, wrists under the shoulders, core tight, shoulder blades retracted in, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10, good. Shake it out. Okay, from here, I want you to jump back up onto your feet, continuing down the posterior chain. Now we're gonna get into the hamstrings, okay? This next exercise is great for dynamic warm-ups on your hamstring day when you're gonna train hamstrings in the gym. Do this for maybe 20, 30 reps beforehand, okay? They're called ice cream scoops. So ice cream scoops, the name is pretty much what the exercise looks like. You're gonna take this front heel, you're gonna stick it out front here just like this, and now you're gonna create an ice cream scoop with your hands, and I want you to round the back, come down underneath the foot and kind of scoop and stand underneath your shoe, okay? Then we're gonna switch sides and we're gonna scoop and stand. Scoop and stand, right? Send your hips back, round your back down, reach down. As you get to this position, you're gonna feel a nice stretch through the hamstrings, maybe even into the calves if you're pretty tight. Then scoop and stand. We're gonna repeat this for 20 reps, 10 on each leg. 5. Okay, dig that heel into the floor. As you gain a little bit of movement throughout your reps here, see if you can point your toe higher and higher. You should also feel a nice stretch here through the QL, which is this muscle that sits right above the hip here. That one also probably gets really tight if you're a side sleeper. Feeling like I'm loosening up already. That's 14, I think. 16. And 20, good. Shake them out. Okay, now we're moving to the glutes, training the glutes. So what we're gonna do is a curtsy lunge. See a lot of people doing curtsy lunges in the gym. There's a small little tip I wanna give you in the bottom of the movement that will help you engage your glutes rather than the lateral part of your quads. I think your lateral quads are inevitably going to be part of this movement, but we really want to make sure that the glute is doing the majority of the work. So at the bottom of the rep, it's important for you to kind of check in with your position to make sure that everything's in alignment. So I'll show you what I mean. So with a curtsy lunge, you're going to be lunging, taking this right leg out, sweeping it out behind your body, placing the toe down here, and you're going to be loading the glute by sort of lunging into the side of your hip right here. Now, this is where I see a lot of people get this wrong in the gym. They take a step out here, and when they do this, they allow this hip to open way up like this, and then they're stepping back to start like this. Don't allow that hip to open all the way up. Try to keep it closed. Try to keep your pelvis pointed in front of you. That position is going to enable you to engage much more glute than quad, okay? So lower yourself to the bottom, okay? If you feel like you're opening up, that's fine. Just fix it before you stand and correct yourself so that your pelvis and your shoulders are aligned straight forward. Then press through the side of your foot and stand. You're gonna feel your glute a whole lot more, okay? So 20 reps alternating. This front foot be slightly turned outward, that's okay. Just make sure that the knee, as it's coming forward, isn't really moving inside or outside of your foot too much. It should be tracking with your toes for the most part. Okay, the knee is meant to move this way and this way. It doesn't do rotation, so any type of rotational movement in the knee is risking injury. So as a rule of thumb, whenever you're lunging, make sure that the knee is always tracking in line with the toes. Okay, loading that hip, keeping the hip closed. Okay, loading that hip, keeping the hip closed. 4 more. Three. And last one. Okay, good. Okay, guys, we're starting to cool down a little bit here. So next thing I want you to do is come into a downward dog position. So hands are going to be onto the turf, more or less under your shoulders. I want you to push your hips up into the air, almost like a pike, contract your abs. And now we're gonna do a marching down dog, which is really gonna emphasize stretch in the calves and mobility in the ankles, okay? So rolling your ankles back and forth, trying to pull your ankle all the way forward, rolling up onto your toe on this side, while pressing that other heel down into the floor, stretching the calves, and switch the position. And let's go for 10 on each side, 20 reps. Okay, at the same time, you can do some shoulder mobility here by trying to pull your head down here between your biceps, trying to get those shoulders back behind your ears. But for the purpose of this exercise, really focus on the posterior chain through the calves and the hamstrings. Three more. And 20, good. Walk yourself up. Okay, guys, whoo. Starting to sweat a little bit. Last exercise, single leg calf raise, okay? So in order to do this, you can do it 2 ways. If you have really good balance, spread your toes out into the floor, grip them down into the turf like a gecko. And you could do them just simply on 1 toe. I definitely can't do that because I have a lot of tightness in my calves. Therefore, I don't have a lot of stability when I'm on my toes for long periods of time. So if you're like me and you can't jump up on your toes and hold that position, take this other foot and just kind of spike it into the floor here, okay? And then when you're distributing your weight between your feet, you want to be like 95% on your right foot or the calf that you want to work, and 5% on the side that's just stabilizing, okay? So we're gonna do 10 reps on each side. So spike that toe if you don't have the stability like me, and then we're gonna come up onto the toes for 10 reps, and we're gonna sit there and squeeze. Remember, the toes into the turf here is what I really want you to think about. That's gonna really help you engage those calf muscles. So squeezing the turf here with the toes, lifting up onto the ball of that foot, okay? And bringing that heel back down to the floor. Remember, 95% of your weight should be distributed into your toes where you're working the calf, 5% in this little kickstand here to keep you stabilized from not falling over. 5, 6, 7, 8, squeeze in the turf. 9, and last one, 10, good, there you go. Shake it out, okay. Last set, best set, 10 reps on this side and we're done for round 1, okay? Now, dig those toes into the turf, let's get set up. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, all the way up on the toes. 4, nice little trick here when you're doing calves too, is first part of the movement, come all the way up on the toes, but once you've reached the top, right, that's kind of your brain just saying, oh, okay, you've reached the top, you know, gravity's becoming too much of a force. Add this one extra step of not just coming all the way up on the toes, but then pulling the ankle forward. So you see what happens there? I'm able to come all the way up onto my toes, but if I just sort of override, that's the top, and I think about just pulling the ankle forward a little bit more, look at how much more movement I'm able to actually get there, and rather than just coming and standing up like this. I feel like people can't squeeze their calves hard enough because they're not coming all the way to the top and they think that they are. So just as just something else that you add, really just try to pull that ankle forward this way at the top of the calf raise, okay? Might be hard on this one because we don't have any stability, a machine or something to hold on to, but if you have something to hold on to, add that in, okay? I believe we have 5 more here. 2, 3, this back foot doesn't know what to do. 4, last one, and 5. All right, how you guys feel? You should feel not exhausted. You should feel like you got solid movement through the backside of your body. You got some good blood flow in your shoulders, through your mid-back, your glutes, some of these other muscles here in the posterior chain. Now in the beginning of this workout, I said do 2 rounds. You're gonna do 1 round with me, but in this next round, when you go back and you do it yourself, here's what I want you to do. If you notice the way that we programmed this workout, we went stretch, exercise, stretch, exercise, stretch, exercise, okay? I did that on purpose because I wanted to give the muscles a break. I want to give the joints a break in between exercises. But now when you go back on, I want you to add a little bit more time under tension, right? So holding those positions for a 3 count. So on the exercises where you're stretching, okay, when you get to that fully stretched position, like on those open books, when you're reaching that arm all the way around trying to touch that turf, once you get to the position where you can't go anymore, I want you to sit there for 3 seconds, breathe, and really try to push that stretch as much as you can. Now, when you get to the exercises where you're trying to train the muscle, okay, I want you to do the same thing. Like in the second exercise, the back widow, when you're pressing your elbows down into the floor and you've got that chest lifted up off of the floor, in that position, rather than coming straight back down to the turf, I want you to hold it for 3 seconds. That's a great way to make lightweight feel heavier or make body weight exercises more intense. You don't need to overload the muscle using weight. You don't need to kill yourself doing a bunch of reps. It's not really like that. As long as you just make the muscle work a little bit harder or a little bit longer, you're still gonna reap some more benefits from that workout. So that's my little tip. Knockout round 2. Thank you guys so much. Remember to like, subscribe to Fit Athletics YouTube channel, and also hit the little bell so that post notifications turn on so that you can see these workouts every single week.